is a signature, it's my signature.
And given that you didn't have a recollection of it, might I suggest that you read in to the record what you signed confirmation of on that page? And then just for the record purposes, I see the date on this is 2012-1207. That's the 7th of December 2012, which I think was the date you indicated earlier you'd been appointed as acting chairperson. Is that right?
Yes, it is correct.
Thank you. So if you'd read that into the record, please.
Sorry?
If you'd read what you say on this page above your signature.
I'm not comfortable to continue with this question because I don't know where it's leading to. I did sign an undertaking. I don't know where it is leading to.
Well, all she's asking, Ms. Min, is just to read what you signed into the record. That's all she's asking. Are you not comfortable reading it?
I have answered, Chairperson.
Ms. Hofmeyer, do you want to just read it into the record?
Certainly.
Yes.
So it reads, I, Duduzile C. Mieni, in my capacity as a non-executive member of South African Airways Board, hereby accept the appointment as acting chairperson of South African Airways Board. I undertake to observe and comply with the principles and provisions of all legislation relevant to South African Airways, the protocol on corporate governance under review, and the provisions of the shareholders' compact between the Board of South African Airways and the Minister of Public Enterprises, to devote sufficient time for the execution of my responsibilities, to utilize my skills to the best of my ability, to initiate, develop, and implement systems or mechanisms for the effective and efficient management of South African Airways, and to maintain and observe the highest standards of integrity and probity in the execution of my responsibilities. Ms. Mieni, did you observe the obligations that that undertaking placed on you while you served on the board of SAA?
I will not answer the question, Chairperson.
And why will you not answer it, Ms. Mieni?
May I be allowed to invoke or to ask for the privilege that has been given to me not to answer pertaining to questions that I feel I'm not comfortable to answer.
Ms. Mieni, if I could just seek a point of clarification. You see, there's a very particular circumstance in which the privilege may be invoked, and so it's important that I get clarity. Are you invoking the privilege because you believe that the answer you give will tend to expose you to a criminal charge? Ms. Mieni, if I may just pause there, that's the ultimate question I want to ask you, but in fairness to you, I want to explain why I ask it. Because if there are other reasons on the basis of which you are declining to answer, it's important that we know them. Because if you are, for example, refusing to answer the question because you have an appeal pending against a High Court judgment, or because investigations might be underway by the NPA, or because it relates to, as I think my learned friend said in his address a moment ago, a controversial point around you, those would not be legally valid grounds on which to refuse to answer. So it's just very important for the Commission's purposes that you confirm that your reason for not answering is because you regard the answer as likely to expose you to a criminal charge. Is that the reason you refuse to answer?
I think, Chairperson, as I explained earlier, anything pertaining to SAA and decisions we made at SAA were done as a collective, as the board. Therefore, having a judgment that has been made against one person makes me feel uncomfortable. And I feel I might incriminate myself in responding to matters such as these ones. With respect, Chairperson.
Ms. Hofmeyer?
Thank you. Ms. Mieni, speaking for myself as the evidence leader, if you, in response to a question I've asked, say that you confirm that you believe the answer you give is likely to expose you to a criminal charge, then subject to the direction of the chairperson, my intention will be to move on to the next question. But it's just extremely important that there is a proper understanding on your part of what your rights are and what your privileges are, because this privilege cannot be invoked simply because there are matters pending or there are possible investigations or because there are points of contention. You must have a reasonable belief that your answer is likely to expose you to a criminal charge, and if you give that confirmation, if it's necessary, there can be a ruling, Chair, I propose, but if not, speaking for myself, I would move on to the next question.
Maybe what we should do is...
Hello, Ms. Hofmeyer.
Yes, Ms. Mieni, you want to say something?
I'm sorry, Chairperson.
Yes, just say something.
No, Chair, I was saying, I know that Ms. Hofmeyer might not like my answer, but I have answered the question.
Yes, no, she's saying that her inclination is to move on to another question without asking for any ruling, if that's what you say. That's what she's saying. So I think what we should do, Ms. Hofmeyer, is move on if you are comfortable to move on. And at some stage when I know all of the questions maybe that she has refused to answer, I can apply my mind
Indeed.
To whether there are some that I would compel her to answer, because I come to the conclusion that they don't expose her, or answers won't expose her to criminal prosecution.
We're indebted,
But
Chair.
at least let us move on, and at the end we will see how much she has been able to answer and how much she hasn't answered, and then we can take it from there.
Indeed.
You understand that, Ms. Mieni? I think she can't hear me anymore. Ms. Mieni, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Chair.
Oh, okay. Did you hear what I said about a minute ago?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Let's continue.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Mieni, when you served on the board of SAA, were you aware that you had certain duties under the Public Finance Management Act as a member of the Accounting Authority of SAA?
I won't answer, Chairperson, the question.
Sorry, just repeat that. Just repeat that. Just repeat what you said.
I've answered, Chairperson. I said, may I please, with respect, not answer that question, Chairperson?
And is that because you believe that the answer is likely to expose you to a criminal charge?
What is your suggestion, Ms. Hofmeyer? You're saying I must say it might lead to a criminal charge. Is that what you say I must say?
No, I'm not telling you to say anything, Ms. Mieni. You said I refuse to answer, so I'm seeking clarity. Because remember, my question is, were you aware when you were a board member of SAA that you had duties under the Public Finance Management Act? As I understand it, you say you don't want to answer that, and I'm seeking clarity. Is that because you believe the answer is likely to expose you to a criminal charge?
Yes, I've answered you, Ms. Hofmeyer. I said I would prefer not to answer because I don't want to incriminate myself.
That's, Ms. Mieni, just to be clear.
Maybe let me explain it to her. Ms. Mieni,
Yes, Chairperson.
where the question that you are being asked is a question in respect of which you would like to invoke your privilege not to incriminate yourself, it is not enough that you just say you would like not to answer. It's important to also give the basis. That is why Ms. Hofmeyer has been asking, after you have said you would like not to answer the question, that's why she would each time ask you whether the basis is this one. Because as she put it to you, if the basis is something else, that would not be applicable. So when you say you would like not to answer, she will ask you for the basis so that she can see whether it's the right basis. You understand?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for clarity.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Okay, all right. Okay, Ms. Hofmeyer.
So do I have clarity then, Ms. Mieni, that you refuse to answer the question whether as a board member of South African Airways, you were aware that you had duties under the Public Finance Management Act because you believe the answer to that question is likely to expose you to a criminal charge?
No, Chairperson. I don't refuse to answer that I was a chairperson of the South African Airways board. I don't refuse to answer that question. I did answer it at the beginning. And I did everything that ought to have been done at SAA as the chairperson of the board in respect of my responsibilities as the chair and leading a collective, a board. But what I would not like to answer is what is added on the question of whether I was a chairperson of a board of SAA and whether I knew that the other added part in respect of the PFMA and other relevant documents that were supposed to be used in executing our work at SAA.
Okay, let me just make sure I understand.
Chairperson, maybe let me add that the reason why I wouldn't want, in fact, I don't want to use the word I refuse, Chairperson.
Yes.
I did indicate from the beginning that I respect the Commission. I would prefer not to answer that question, Chairperson,
Yes.
because as you have explained to me that I must add why I think I do not prefer to answer. I don't want to answer that question, Chairperson, because I do not wish to incriminate myself.
That is the question about whether you were aware that you had certain obligations under the PFMA. That's the question that you are saying you would like not to answer. Is that correct?
That's the question I say I would not like to answer, Chairperson.
Yes, of course.
For the reason I have explained, yes.
Yes, just so that we fit within the legal framework, I think you have made the point that you wouldn't like to say you refuse out of respect. You say you prefer, but we can take that what you intend is to refuse. It's just that you would like to say prefer. You prefer not to answer as respect, but otherwise your position is that you are refusing, but you don't feel comfortable to say that. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed, Chairperson.
Yes, okay, all right.
Thank you, Ms. Meany. If I may make a suggestion, because I know the language is challenging, one doesn't want to say refuse in circumstances, especially when one appears before a body as august as this. So in line with the legal test, the simple question that you would need to form in your mind, I propose, is to confirm for yourself that you believe that the answer would tend to expose you to a criminal charge. And so that might be the answer you give on occasions when you have that concern. Let me move to my next question then, because you've confirmed for us already in relation to the question about obligations under the PFMA that you are declining to answer on the basis that the answer would tend to incriminate you.
Yes, Mr. Pchelezi.
Sorry, Chair. If I may try to assist Ms. Hofmeyer. It was argued in Ms. Meany's case that the basis, one of the reasons why her case would be referred to the NPA for investigation and prosecution was that there are provisions in the PFMA that says a person who is found to have contravened the PFMA may be criminally prosecuted. I think it's Section 89.
Yes.
Now, that is another trigger point for us if you ask us questions that pertain to the PFMA, because we already have a court order that says, or there's a finding that says we may potentially have violated the PFMA. And it's also the basis upon which Ms. Meany is apprehensive then to delve into any issues that raise PFMA obligations.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Ms. Hofmeyer, let's continue.
Thank you. Section 50 of the PFMA requires accounting authorities, such as the Board of SAA, to act with fidelity, honesty, and integrity. Were you aware of that obligation while you served on the Board of SAA?
Chairperson, with respect to the question, may I not answer the question in case I incriminate myself?
And there are also obligations under that section to exercise the duty of utmost care in conducting your business and exercising your functions. Were you aware of that obligation?
May I not answer, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Thank you.
Ms. Meany, the Public Finance Management Act also prohibits irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. Were you aware that that is a prohibition it places?
Chairperson, with respect, may I not answer the question in case I get affected by the response I make?
And just to clarify, that's because you believe it will tend to incriminate you, is that correct?
I've answered, Chairperson.
Yes, I think Ms. Hofmeyer just wants to make sure that what you say is in line with what the law says. But I think that's what you say. You fear that you might incriminate yourself if you answer that question.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Chair. Sorry, I must be consistent where I need to say what I think and I believe.
Yes. Whenever
would be the case going forward. Yes, Chair.
If in regard to a particular question, you feel that you have reasonable grounds to believe that your answer might incriminate you, you can say, I would like not to answer the question. We now understand that that's a code for I'm refusing to answer the question because I believe that I may incriminate myself. Yeah. So there may be a number of questions where you might have to say that, but Ms. Hofmeyer has got to do her job and ask you a number of questions that you might feel you might not wish to answer, but she has got to go through them, and you take each one on its merits. Those that you believe that you have no problem with, you must answer. As I said, at some stage later today or tomorrow, I might have to look at all of them and see whether there are some where I might make a different ruling. But for now, let's move on, and you will treat each question, deal with each question as it comes.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Ms. Mieni, what is your understanding of wasteful expenditure?
May I not answer, Chairperson, the question? Just in case it happens that I incriminate myself.
And if I said to you that my understanding was that it is expenditure that has no real value, from which the party expending the money receives no value, would you agree with that?
I've given my answer, Chairperson.
And,
So I won't answer that question, Chairperson, so that I don't incriminate myself.
okay.
And Ms. Mieni, the PFMA, the Public Finance Management Act, makes the accounting authority of a state-owned enterprise responsible to ensure that this type of expenditure, that's wasteful expenditure, does not take place, correct?
May I not answer the question, Chairperson, just in case I incriminate myself?
And I suggest to you, and I'd be interested in your comment on this, the rationale behind that obligation placed on the accounting authorities of state-owned enterprises is because if they engage in wasteful expenditure, then they are misusing public funds, aren't they?
May I not answer, Chairperson, to avoid self-incrimination?
Entities who benefited from those wasted funds should pay back the money.
May I not answer, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
And would you agree that they should pay back the money because the public have a right to have returned to them what is rightfully theirs?
May I not answer, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
I'd then like to move from the PFMA, Ms. Mieni, to the Companies Act. When you were a director of SAA, were you aware that you had obligations not only under the PFMA, but also under the Companies Act?
Sorry, Chair.
May I not answer, Chairperson? May I have the privilege not to answer so I don't incriminate myself?
Sorry, Chair.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Chairperson.
I'd like to issue the same disclaimer that we issued with regards to the PFMA, because her being declared a delinquent director is under Section 162 of the Companies Act.
Just raise your voice.
I'm saying her being declared a delinquent director was under Section 1625 of the Companies Act. So there's a court ruling that has found her in breach of the Companies Act already. And that is also the subject of an appeal. So in as much as there's questions with regards to her applying the Companies Act or what she considers her actions and conduct with regards to the Companies Act, she stands under the same advice. So I'm not too sure if it takes the commission forward, because we declare these things up front.
Yes.
Is it constructive for us where it's obvious? She didn't answer any questions on the PFMA. And I can really tell you now, she's not going to answer any questions on the Companies Act. And we declare these up front. We're not grandstanding. It's genuine concerns. We're operating under a court order that is already found in breach of these issues. She defended herself in court. The court found against her. We're going to try to another platform. But the point is, we could be wasting the Commission's time answering questions where we've declared up front that we do not feel comfortable answering in these questions. Ms. Kate Hofmeyer is at large to go into other areas, but if she goes into legislation where she's already has adverse findings against her,
Yes.
she's not going to answer, Chair.
Ms.
And
Hofmeyer?
out of respect for the Chair and the processes, Chair, we've advised our clients accordingly, and she's acting accordingly, but she can ask other questions.
Yeah,
But she knows what the issues already are.
yes.
Chair, the privilege against self-incrimination places no limitation on the questions that may be asked. And it is precisely because the fact that there is a judgment in civil proceedings cannot be a basis to invoke the privilege against self-incrimination that I propose to continue to ask the questions. And when Ms. Mieni fairly indicates to me that she, in her own mind, believes the answer will tend to incriminate her, I move on. But we must have certainty that that is the basis, and it's not because, for example, some high court in a delinquent director case has found her to have been delinquent, because that would not be the correct legal test. So my next question then is, Ms. Mieni, whether you were aware when you were a board member that the Companies Act places particular fiduciary duties on board members to act in the best interests of the company.
Chairperson, I request not to answer the question, just in case I incriminate myself.
And it also imposes obligations of duties and obligations of care, skill, and diligence. Were you aware that you had those duties when you served on the board of SAA?
Chairperson, may I not answer the question in case I incriminate myself?
Ms. Mieni, are you still the Deputy Chairperson of Centlec SOC?
I beg your pardon?
Are you still the Deputy Chairperson of the state-owned company Centlec?
No.
I understand Centlec to be an electricity utility solely owned by the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. Is that correct?
Chairperson, may I not answer that question? I prefer not to answer the question so that I don't incriminate myself.
Before you, I understand you to say you're no longer a member of the board. How long did you serve on that board?
I don't remember, Ms. Hofmeyer.
Is it in the order of a year or 4 or 5 years?
I will say something that might not be accurate. So it won't be 4 years. It certainly is under 3 years or, yeah, around thereabout.
More than 1 year and not more than 3 years.
Yeah, more than 1 year, not more than 3 years. Thank you, Chairperson, for your assistance.
Okay.
Thank you. And at the time of the outer trial that took place at the beginning of this year, were you at that point a board member of Centlec?
Chairperson, with respect, I think the advocate, the legal representative that is before you there,
Mr. Buthelezi?
can assist me. The matter is without her. The issue of Centlec is without her on the appeal as the case is continuing since we appealed, and I think Outer raised the issue of Centlec. So may I not answer any question pertaining to Centlec, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Let me hear what Mr. Buthelezi, if he has got anything to say about the issue.
Chair, it's just, there's an application before court that where OUTA seeks to enforce the removal of Ms. Mieni from the Centric Board despite the matter being appealed. And there are several contentious issues there. There's a constitutional issue as well with regards to whether the filing of an appeal doesn't stay the execution of an order. And in particular, they want relief from the court that says she must be removed from the Centric Board on the basis of the judgment in the delinquency case. So I think the aversion then arises from that aspect, because there is specific case by OUTA saying they want her removed from the Centric Board.
But she's no longer a member of that board now, as I understand the evidence. Or she's no longer deputy chairperson.
Then she can answer, Chair.
Sorry?
Then I can ask her to answer that question.
Oh,
then I'd be testifying.
Yeah,
no, I think she's given the evidence already.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
she said she's no longer deputy chairperson. What I think you didn't ask her is whether she is
any
an
board
ordinary
member.
Yeah.
Well, let me just ask that for clarity. As my learned friend says, he shouldn't be giving evidence. And then, if I may, Chair, just return to Mr. Butalezi's submissions. Just for clarity, and let us know if you're not comfortable answering the question, you indicated previously you were not currently the deputy chairperson of the Centric Board. May I then follow up and ask, do you serve in any capacity on the board?
Sorry, what is your question again? I beg your pardon.
Apologies. Do you serve in any capacity on the board of Centric? At the moment, are you a board member of Centric?
I am not at Centric, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then just in response, Chair, if I may, to my learned friend, it's again just underscoring the importance of the basis on which Ms. Mieni is declining to answer the question. Because the fact that there are court proceedings to remove her from the board of a particular company because of a finding by a high court that she breached her fiduciary duties and was a delinquent director does not create a sufficient basis to decline to answer a question because of her privilege against self-incrimination. So that's why the clarity is so important. When I asked...
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
I think, to correct Ms. Hofmeyer, I think that's her submission, Chair, but I think that should be your ruling in that regard. I think she cannot assert it as if this has been the ruling of this commission, Chair.
No, she's making a submission responding to you.
Yes, but
yeah,
specifically to the point of saying that
she's not making a ruling.
I'm sorry, Chair, I want to be specific. When she says the basis upon which Ms. Mieni relies on these reasons cannot be the reason, I think she must qualify it as her own submission, Chair, because I think it's beyond what she cannot assert that. Yeah,
no, I think whatever she says and whatever you say, I will always understand as a submission, even if you don't say so.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
So just to repeat my question so that we have your basis for answering or not answering clear, my question was, were you a member of the board of Centric at the time that your trial against OUTA took place in the High Court earlier this year?
Yes. Yes, Chairperson, I was.
And how much did you earn on a monthly basis from that directorship?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson?
And
in case I incriminate myself,
Ms. Mieni, you have experience in matters of corporate governance, don't you?
What is your question, Ms. Hofmeyer?
Do you have experience in matters of corporate governance?
May I not answer a question like that, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
If I indicated that in September of 2019, you earned approximately 35,000 Rand from your activities on the Centlec board, could you confirm that for me?
Can you repeat the question, ma'am?
If I indicated that on our investigations you earned approximately 35,000 Rand in September of 2019 from your activities on the Centlec board, can you confirm that?
May I not confirm anything pertaining to Centlec chairperson in case I incriminate myself? And Chairperson, I do like to ask if I'm on trial or not.
You are not on trial, Ms. Mieni. The commission doesn't conduct
I beg your pardon, Chairperson?
You are not on trial.
Thank you, Chairperson.
The commission,
I just needed that clarity, Chairperson.
Yes. No, you are not on trial.
Thank you very much.
Yes, okay. Ms. Hofmeyer?
You have done quite a number of courses on corporate governance, haven't you?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson?
And what is your base?
In case I incriminate myself, may I not answer that question?
Ms. Mieni, do you have a B administration degree?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
The Department of Public Enterprises produced a document shortly after, or it might have been at the same time actually, that you were appointed as acting chairperson on the 7th of December 2012, in which it listed all the qualifications held by members of the board. And in relation to you, that document, which I'll take you to in a moment, indicated that you had the B administration degree. Are you aware that you were indicated on that document as holding that degree?
My CV does not say anything to that effect that I have. I don't know what CV you have. So may I not answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Well, I wasn't suggesting it was in a CV. I was indicating that it was a document prepared by the Department of Public Enterprises. So let me take you to it before I ask you the follow-up question. You'll find it in the file that we were working on previously. It's DD34B, and you'll be on the next page, page 1241.
Chairperson?
Yes.
Chairperson, it's on which, I don't know which document that is being referred to, Chairperson. And secondly, may I ask, Chairperson, that I should respond to a document that was prepared by Department of Public Enterprises, or must I answer to a document that is prepared by myself? Just a question, Chairperson,
yes.
in that regard.
Yeah. No, there may be a legitimate question that relates to a document that you did not yourself prepare. But obviously, if you don't know what the answer to the question, because the document was not prepared by you, you would say so. But you can't be asked a question that relates to a document prepared by somebody else. It just depends on what you are asked. Okay, all right. Ms. Hofmeyer referred us to bundle 34B. That's the file that is in front of us. What page, Ms. Hofmeyer?
It's page 1241.
It's the page just after the undertaking that
Exactly, Chair.
Yes. Okay, it's the same file that is supposed to be in front of you, Ms. Mieni?
Yes, indeed, Chairperson. I can see, Chairperson, it's agreed, and at the top it's written secret. I see it, yes.
Yes, yes. Exactly. So if you have that in front of you, Ms. Mieni, you'll see it says current SAA board at the top. It's marked secret. As we understand it, it emanates from the Department of Public Enterprises. And then Annexure D, it was an annexure to another document. And under number 1 in the table there, you'll see number 1, full name, Ms. Duduzile Mieni, Chairperson. And then your gender and your ethnicity is given. And then under qualifications, you'll see it says secondary teacher's diploma, B admin, business skills for SA business management. So that recordal there is the basis for me saying to you that there's a document from the Department of Public Enterprises that records you as having a B administration degree, and I was asking you whether you were ever aware of this document.
May I not answer, Chairperson, because my CV does not look like this, Chairperson.
Ms. Mieni, that would not be a basis on which to decline to answer. What I understand you to be saying is your CV is different from this, but my question was, were you ever aware of this document in which you were credited with having a B admin degree?
May I not answer, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
And what does your CV say about this?
Chairperson, I've answered. I know Ms. Hofmeyer may not be happy, but I have answered.
Ms. Mieni,
I clarified earlier that she has qualified the issuance of the document that I'm looking at, and she said it was prepared by the department. It's not a document that I prepared.
correct. And so my follow-up question was...
May I then, Chairperson, not respond to the question in case I incriminate myself?
I don't think I'd finished the question, so can I just be sure? My question was, what does your CV say? Because a moment ago you told us your CV is different to this, so I'm following up on that. What does your CV say?
Chairperson, may I not answer this question in case I incriminate myself? I think also maybe my legal advisor can assist me, because if the CV would be required for the commission, since I'm not on trial, I would be happy to submit it, Chairperson, if you need my CV.
Yes.
We have a copy of it. I was asking you what your understanding was of what was contained in the CV. See, my challenge is I asked you what was in it, and your answer was, I refuse to answer on the basis that it incriminates me. But then you added, I'm happy to provide it to the commission. So that presents a difficulty. You can't both volunteer to provide the CV to the commission and say you refuse to answer the question, what is in your CV, on the basis that it would tend to incriminate you. So what is your position, Ms. Mieni? Would it incriminate you if you told us what was in your CV?
Chairperson, I'm being asked about a document that was prepared by somebody else. I'm not being asked about a document that is before me, that is my document. That is the basis for which I say, may I please not answer the question in case I incriminate myself.
Well, the earlier question that Ms. Hofmeyer asked was indeed about a document that seems to have been from the Department of Public Enterprises, but the last question she was asking you was not about what is in that document, but what is in your CV, which you said you are quite happy to provide.
May I not answer, Chairperson?
you would like not to answer what is in your CV?
I didn't bring my CV here, Chairperson. So
Okay, but you are happy to provide
may I
it.
please not answer?
Ms.
Yes,
Mini,
Mayor.
I not answer, Chairperson.
no, I do need clarity. Because a moment ago, you said that you declined to answer a question about what is in your CV because it may tend to incriminate you. And then you offered to provide your CV to the Commission. Now, those two propositions cannot live side by side. And it is for that reason that I ask you again, would disclosing what is contained in your CV tend to incriminate you?
I've given an answer, Chairperson, on this question.
What was that answer?
I'm not going to answer your question in case it incriminates me.
Thank you. Now, we did establish a moment ago that you have experience on matters of corporate governance. And what I'm interested in is probing just a little bit further about that. Is it your understanding of good corporate governance that a board should regard its function as different to the functions of management?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
And it is management of a company like South African Airways that is responsible for operational matters, whereas a board is not responsible for operational matters. Do you agree with that?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
And procurement processes, particularly within a state-owned enterprise, should generally be run by management and not the board. Is that correct?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Now, Ms. Mieni, in 2013 and 2014, there was quite a severe breakdown in the functioning of the board of SAA, wasn't there?
May I not answer that, Chairperson, the question, in case I incriminate myself?
And Ms. Mieni, the trouble really started with what has become known as the 10-to-10 transaction, the Pembroke Transaction, which involved the sale and leaseback of A320 aircraft, didn't it?
Chairperson, the transcript that was submitted is very elaborate on the matter that is being asked. There was an annexure that was submitted, and I stand by that response. So I'm not going to answer, Chairperson, because transcripts have been provided with all the answers that we provided in court, and the answers for the Commission to be able to know that I have dealt with the question that is being asked.
Well, Ms. Mieni.
Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself, I prefer to invoke the privilege that have been given.
Well, you see, Ms. Mieni, the only basis on which you can refuse to answer the question is the privilege of self-incrimination. And of course, in case there is attorney and client information, but Unless there is something else that I've forgotten, there is no other basis legally on which you can refuse to answer a question. You can't refuse on the basis that you have provided a document that the commission should look at to find an answer. That's not an acceptable basis. But I thought I must just mention that I didn't actually hear the question that Ms. Hofmeyer asked. So, Ms. Hofmeyer, I'm going to ask you to tell me what the question was so that I can know I missed it.
Chair, just as an aside, what I've found quite remarkable about this afternoon is it's very difficult to remember a question if there isn't an answer to it. I also am struggling to remember my own questions because there's usually an answer which assists. But luckily, I do have them written out.
I remember the question very well, Chairperson.
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes. Please just repeat it, Ms. Mieni.
I beg your pardon, Chairperson.
Just repeat the question. You said you remember the question.
Yes. Yes, it was about the complaint by 6 board members, South African Airways board members, in about a period of 2013-14, thereabout. That's what I heard, and a matter between the Pembroke and financing of the aircrafts.
Okay.
I think there were leases of
of the Airbus.
I hope I paraphrased correctly according to my understanding.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And my response is that I prefer not to answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself.
Yes, okay. Ms. Hofmeyer.
Now, I'm going to call this transaction for short the Pembroke Transaction.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hofmeyer. I'm going to just ask Ms. Mieni something, and it's connected with an earlier question about what is in the document from the Department of Public Enterprises and about her CV. Do you hold a Bachelor of Administration degree, Ms. Mieni?
My CV, Chairperson, it's very explicit. I studied it. I didn't complete it.
Okay.
I did 2 years of that particular degree.
Yes.
And it's very explicit. It even says why anything and whatever the reason that caused me not to do my majors.
Yes.
It's very explicit on my CV. That is why I'm saying this is not my CV.
Yes, okay. And
but Chairperson, I prefer not to respond to the questions that might incriminate myself.
Yes, okay. No, that's fine. Ms. Hofmeyer?
Ms. Mieni, if you did not complete the B admin degree, why would you include it at all on your CV?
Chairperson, I prefer not to answer the question. We had dealt with it. I stand by the answer that I've given.
Have you, in all your years in corporates, ever seen other people's CVs where they list under qualifications that they don't have?
By whose standard, ma'am, are you asking me that question? Let me just ask a question. Whose standards are we talking about?
Ms. Mieni,
just for me to understand, ma'am, whose standard are you asking?
Ms. Mieni,
I'm saying sorry, let me just finish my question because I need clarity.
Ms. Mieni?
I need clarity, Chair, so that I can provide the answer.
Ms. Mieni?
I have never seen people's CVs that a person will write a CV this way because this one has written it this way and that other one has written it this way. I have written mine in my own way and in my own unprescribed standard that I've preferred to do it. So, Chairperson, may I not answer the question that Ms. Hofmeyer has put before me in case I incriminate myself?
If I'm not mistaken, I thought you did answer. But it's okay, Ms. Hofmeyer, continue.
Ms. Mieni, my question has not yet been answered, actually, the most recent one, because my question was, have you ever seen other CVs in your time at various corporate entities in which under the qualification section, a person lists a qualification that they do not have? I don't have a record that you answered that.
Person, I prefer not to answer this question because my focus is dealing with poverty, inequality, and all the other problems facing me as a woman leader. I have never had an opportunity to sit down and study people's CVs so that I can align my CV to somebody else's CV. And Chairperson, if that is a crime, may I ask for an apology? That is why I'm stating that my CV is written according to my own standard, because I don't know if there are certain standards or that somebody, who is somebody's CV that I should copy and emulate. Chairperson, I'm speaking not my language. Whose standard must my CV copy? My apologies, Chairperson. If it is a crime that I did indicate that I studied at the University of Zululand, it is an achievement for a Black woman that studied after marriage. It is a big achievement for me to have passed first year and second year. And it is an inspiration for any other Black woman somewhere. And I'm sorry, Chairperson. If then I am before the commission to talk about my qualifications, they were not in your letter, Chairperson. And therefore I request that I don't answer this question before it becomes something that will put me in bad light, that I should have followed some Western standards to write a CV.
Ms. Hofmeyer?
Ms. Mieni, on the 27th of May, 2013, there was a meeting of the Board of Directors of South African Airways that you attended. Do you recall that?
May I not answer that question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
At that meeting, I'd like to take you to a minute of that meeting, if I may. You'll find it in the bundle in front of you, which is DD 34B, and it's DD 34B, page 1247.
Yes, Chairperson, I do have the minutes.
And can you confirm that you're indicated as being present on page 1247?
Chairperson, may I not answer that question in case I incriminate myself?
Well, she is not asking whether you attended that meeting. She is asking only whether the minutes reflect that you were present.
I have not read the minutes, Chairperson, but I can see that my name is there. I attended the meeting, but I have not read these minutes to confirm that
Yes.
this is a true set of the minutes of the meeting.
Okay.
If I can take you to page 1263, which is the last page of those minutes, and can you tell me whose signature appears on that page?
Yes, Chairperson, I am on the page.
And whose signature appears on that page?
I'm not too sure then, because there is a rub on the signature. But Chairperson, be that as it may I not answer the question?
So you can't confirm whether that's your signature?
May I not answer the question just in case I incriminate myself? I have not had an opportunity to read the minutes.
Ms. Mieni,
And under normal circumstances, Chairperson, sorry?
No, please continue.
Yes, continue, Ms.
No, I'm
Mieni.
saying I would prefer not to answer the question. I have not had an opportunity to read the minutes. And apart from that, I don't want to incriminate myself.
Let us go to what the board resolved at that meeting in relation to the Pembroke transaction. You'll find that at page 1259.
I guess what can be said is that whoever signed those minutes at page 1263 is given as the chairperson.
Yes, and just for record purposes, Chair, these are minutes dated, well, at least the signature appears to be dated the 28th of July 2013.
Yes, okay.
On that date, Ms. Mieni, were you chairperson of the SAA board?
May I not answer, Chairperson, the question in case I incriminate myself?
Ms. Mieni?
I thought, but you can tell me if you prefer not to ask the question. Having said that, you became chairperson, or was it acting chairperson in 2013?
2012, Chair,
Or
December of
2012.
2012.
Yeah. I thought that it's accepted that you were chairperson for a number of years thereafter. Are you able to confirm that, or would you prefer not to?
I'm not comfortable, Chairperson.
Okay, all right, Ms. Hofmeyer.
And just to clarify, you're not comfortable to answer on the basis that the answer may tend to incriminate you?
May I not answer because I don't want to incriminate myself?
Okay.
So I was going to the recordal in the meetings that contains the board resolution on this Pembroke transaction, and you'll find that at page 1259. Do you have that? Kindly repeat
your question. I have 1259 in front of me.
Correct. So I just was checking whether you had the right page, Ms. Mieni. I'll then follow it up with my next question. If you go halfway down that page, you'll see it says the board then resolved in capitals that, and then number 1, the update on the A320 sale and leaseback transaction and the process followed, be and is hereby noted. 2, the initial award of the A320 sale and leaseback of 20 aircraft to the Bank of China Aviation, approved by the board on 6 September 2012, be and is hereby cancelled or withdrawn. The sale and 3, the sale and leaseback of the first 10 A320 aircraft, be and is hereby awarded to Pembroke Capital. Were you aware of those decisions having been taken by the board at this meeting on the 27th of May 2013?
Chairperson, may I worry you, please?
Yes.
Am I allowed to ask a question, not on top of a question, but to ask a clarity question?
Yes, you can seek
Or
clarification.
Maybe I could say something, then my
You may seek
legal
clarification.
representative can assist me.
Yes, you may seek clarification to a question.
Chairperson, please, Advocate Buthelezi, under normal circumstances, minutes are signed by the company secretary before they are signed by the chairperson. 1263, there is no company secretary signature. I therefore won't answer any question pertaining to this in case I incriminate myself, Chairperson.
Okay.
And the question then is that there is no company secretary signature here. So these minutes can come anywhere, from anywhere.
Okay, Ms. Hoffman.
After this decision was taken by the board on the 27th of May 2013, there was then a Section 54 application sent through to National Treasury to approve the transaction. Were you aware of that at the time?
Chairperson, may I not answer the question in case I incriminate myself?
And why would a Section 54 application have to have been sent to Treasury arising from this decision to enter into a sale and leaseback for 10 A320 aircraft with Pembroke?
Chairperson, may I not answer any question pertaining to this in case I incriminate myself?
Now, after that application was submitted on the 30th of May 2013, you wrote a letter to the Minister of Public Enterprises at the time, Mr. Gigaba, and that was on the 20th of June 2014. Do you recall that letter?
Did you hear the question, Ms. Miani?
I heard the question, Chairperson.
Yes.
Sorry, I delayed a bit to answer.
Yes.
I'm not answering the question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself.
I'd like to go to that letter, if we may, and you'll find it in the same bundle, DD 34, and it's a few pages on in the bundle at page 1544.
I have it, Chairperson.
Okay. Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you. Can you confirm, Ms. Mieni, that it is your signature at the bottom of that page, 1544?
May I not respond, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Now, this is a letter dated the 20th of June, 2013. On its face, it's addressed to Minister Gigaba, and it is signed by a signature that appears to be yours, Ms. Mieni, under the title SAA Acting Chairperson. And the letter is dated 20 June 2013. What I'd like to focus in on is the second paragraph of this letter. Well, let me start at the first for context. It reads, Dear Minister, and then it is headed Section 54 Update on Novation of A320 Order. It then reads, reference is made to the attached letter dated 30 May 2013 with regard to the novation of the Airbus A320 order. That, as I understand it, is that Section 54 application that I was just talking about. Do you understand that sentence in the same way?
May I not answer, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
And then the letter goes on and it says, we would like to update the Minister on the award of the sale and leaseback of aircraft to Pembroke Capital. Whilst reference is made to 10 aircraft in the previous correspondence, the board has subsequently resolved to transact for 2 aircraft with Pembroke to allow SAA to further explore engaging local financiers such as the Development Bank of South Africa, Public Investment Corporation, Sharia Bank, and others. Ms. Mieni, do you recall writing that to the Minister on the 20th of June 2013?
May I not respond, Chairperson? I'm not comfortable to respond in case I incriminate myself.
My understanding of that paragraph, and I want to seek your guidance on whether you understand it in the same way, given that you were the author of that letter. I will come in a moment to why I say that it can't really be disputed that you were the author of that letter. It conveys the following. Minister, you got an application for us or correspondence from us previously in which we were all asking you to authorize the sale and leaseback of 10 aircraft. But since then, the board of SAA has resolved to transact for only 2 aircraft with Pembroke. Do you understand that paragraph in the same way?
May I not answer, Chairperson, just in case I incriminate myself?
Ms. Mieni, we have searched in the records of SAA for that resolution, the one that you're referring to in the second paragraph here, because you say the board has subsequently resolved to transact for 2 aircraft, and we have not been able to find any such resolution. Are you aware of one having been taken?
And with respect, may I not answer that particular question? I wouldn't want to incriminate myself.
Ms. Mieni, you previously answered that question in an affidavit that you placed before the company's tribunal. Do you recall that?
May I not answer the question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Now, in the matter involving the company's tribunal, as I understand it, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission had issued you with a compliance notice because of what is contained in the very letter that we were just looking at. Is that correct?
May I not answer, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Now, in that affidavit, I'd like to take you to it. You will find it in the same bundle, DD 34B, and now we are at page 1562. That's under tab 26.
I have it in front of me.
And if you turn over to page 1584, that is the last page of the affidavit, which appears to have been deposed to by you on the 10th of March 2017. Can you confirm that you deposed to this affidavit then?
May I not answer the question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Now, in the affidavit, you will see, back in the affidavit at page 1564,
I have it before me.
Thank you. I'd like to pick it up at paragraph 7 there, because it's at paragraph 7 that you identify what you understand the complaint against you by the commission, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission to have been. You say at paragraph 7, I assume from our correspondence with the respondent that its finding is based on a letter I addressed to the Minister of Public Enterprises dated 20 June 2013. If I can just pause there, that's the one that we've just looked at, in which I stated that, quote, whilst reference is made to 10 aircraft in the previous correspondence, the board has subsequently resolved to transact on 2 aircraft. Do you see that?
May I not answer the question in case I incriminate myself?
Ms. Meany, can I just be clear? You're declining to answer the question whether you see a paragraph on page 164 on the basis that answering that question might tend to incriminate you.
May I not answer this question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Then if we go to paragraph 8, you'll see that what you record in the affidavit there is that letter was written on my understanding of what the Board of SAA had resolved. I subsequently ascertained that I was mistaken and that the board's decision had not changed, at which point I wrote a further letter to the Minister of Public Enterprises to clarify the situation, which clarification was accepted by the Minister. Do you remember giving that explanation to the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission's tribunal, well, the Companies Tribunal, in your matter with SABC?
May I not answer this question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
I'd like to just get clear whether my understanding of that paragraph of your affidavit and your understanding of it is the same. So what I understand paragraph 8 to be saying is you wrote the letter on the 20th of June 2013, but thereafter you realized that the board had not decided to go for the 2 aircraft, and you realized that its original decision to go for the 10 aircraft had not changed. Is that also your understanding of that paragraph?
May I not answer, Chairperson, that question, in case I incriminate myself?
So just pushing that a bit further, if your realization was that they hadn't in fact decided to go for 2 aircraft, then that would mean that there was only one decision, and the one decision was the decision for 10 aircraft, correct?
May I not answer that question in case I incriminate myself?
And then what you do in paragraph 8 is you go on and you say, when you realized your mistake, you wrote to the minister to clarify that you'd made the mistake, and the minister accepted your clarification. Do you also understand your paragraph 8 in the same way?
May I not answer, Chairperson, the question in case I incriminate myself?
Now, we'll shortly go to the letter that you wrote to the minister on, and I have it that it was written on the 11th of July 2013, and I'd like to again check whether you and I are on common ground. If you identified the mistake and conveyed it to the minister in your letter of 11 July 2013, then you must have identified the mistake somewhere between the 20th of June, which was your first letter, and the 11th of July, which was your second letter. Is that correct?
May I not answer, Chairperson, the question in case I incriminate myself?
And Ms. Mieni, what alerted you to that mistake? That mistake in thinking that there'd been another board decision to go from 10 to 2 aircraft?
May I not answer the question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
I'd then like us to go to your actual letter. That's the letter of 11 July 2013, and you'll find it in the same bundle, DD 34B, and now we need to go back to page 1283.
Sorry, same file.
Same file, yes. And page 1283.
I beg your pardon?
Page 1283.
1283.
Thank you.
I beg your pardon. The same file and page
1283. 1283.
I've got it before me. I have the document in front of me.
Thank you.
I have the document.
Thank you. And then if you go over 2 pages to 1285, can you confirm whether that's your signature on the page?
Chairperson, may I not confirm and respond to the question, just in case I incriminate myself?
Now, this is a letter that appears to bear your signature, and you're identified at the end of the letter as SAA Chairperson. It's a letter dated the 11th of July 2013, and it's addressed to Minister Gigaba. And what it says is the following: Honourable Minister. And then the title of the letter, or the heading of the letter, is Section 54.2 of the PFMA, SAA Novation of the Airbus A320. And the first paragraph reads, SAA submitted an application in terms of Section 54.2 of the Public Finance Management Act 1 of 1999 as amended, for consideration and approval by the Minister. For ease of reference, a copy of the application dated 30 May 2013 is attached hereto and marked Annexure A. Subsequent to the submission of the application, a letter dated 20 June 2013 was written to the Minister requesting that an approval for 2 aircraft instead of 10 be granted by the Minister. The subsequent request has since been reconsidered, and SAA has decided to revert to the 10 aircraft as stated in its application dated 30 May for the following reasons. And then a series of reasons follow. Now, Ms. Mieni, maybe you can help me, but I don't identify anywhere in that paragraph an identification on your part that you made a mistake. Can you point me to where you've identified for the Minister that you made a mistake?
Chairperson, may I not respond to the question in case I incriminate myself?
You see, as I read that paragraph, it's saying something quite different to what you said in your affidavit before the Companies Tribunal. In your affidavit before the Companies Tribunal, I'm maybe going to call it the fall on your sword affidavit, you say, I did write a second letter, but I subsequently discovered, I wrote a second letter that advised the minister that the board had changed its first decision to a second decision to now go for 2 instead of 10 aircraft. But I subsequently discovered after sending that letter that I was wrong, and the board had only decided to go for the 10 aircraft. By contrast, what you are conveying, as I read paragraph 2 of your letter, is that there's not one decision, but 3 decisions. The first decision, taken for 10, then a request for that to change to 2, and then that subsequent request, you say in your own words, has since been reconsidered, and SAA has decided to revert to the 10 aircraft. So this letter, Ms. Mieni, I put to you, is conveying to the minister nothing about a mistake. It's conveying to the minister that 3 board decisions were taken. The first decision for 10 aircraft, the second decision for 2 aircraft, and the third decision for 10 aircraft. Do you understand that, as I understand that paragraph?
Chairperson, may I not respond to the question in case I incriminate myself?
You see, I would put it to you, Ms. Mieni, that when Minister Gigaba received this letter on the 11th of July 2013, he was being told that the Board of South African Airways had taken 3 decisions, 2 of which you admitted in an affidavit before the Companies Tribunal later in 2017 had never been taken. Why would you make such a false representation to the minister?
Chairperson, may I not respond to this question in case I incriminate myself?
Ms. Mieni, do you know what fraud is?
Chairperson, may I not respond in case I incriminate myself?
Do you know that fraud is a crime, Ms. Mieni?
I'm sorry?
Do you know that fraud is a crime?
I have answered, Chairperson.
The second question was slightly different. The first question was, do you know what fraud is? The second question was, do you know that fraud is a crime? Is your answer to the first question the same as your answer to the second question, that you decline to answer whether you know that fraud is a crime because your answer might tend to incriminate you?
May I not answer the question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
You see, fraud is generally or takes place. Fraud is perpetrated or takes place when a person intentionally misrepresents a factual position to someone, which causes them actual or potential prejudice. Do you have any understanding of that being what happens when fraud is committed?
May I not answer the question, Chairperson, in case I incriminate myself?
Do you know whether fraud is a bad thing in society?
Chairperson, I respect your commission. And I'm sure your commission's terms of reference cover a number of issues pertaining to broadly corruption, not in a selective way, but broadly. Certainly, Chairperson, as a responsible citizen, it is known that I know the definition of fraud and what fraud means.
Okay.
But Chairperson, with your respect, I am not going to answer this question.
Okay.
I do not want to incriminate myself.
Okay, all right. Ms. Hofmeyer?
Now, at the time that these letters were written to the Minister of Public Enterprises, there were a number of members of the board of SAA that were very concerned about the fact that you had written these letters and misrepresented the factual position to the minister. Are you aware of their concerns?
Chairperson, may I not answer the question? I do not want to incriminate myself.
You see, they were not only concerned about the fact that a misrepresentation had been made, they were concerned that as a result of that misrepresentation, the Pembroke transaction had been substantially delayed, and that delay cost South African Airways in excess of 800 million rand. Are you aware that that was the second part of their concern?
Sorry, Chairperson, may I get clarity? Who is Pembroke?
Pembroke, as I understand it, is the party that the board resolved on the 27th of May 2013 to enter into a transaction with for 10 aircraft.
Chairperson, may I not respond to this question in case I incriminate myself?
Okay. Ms. Hofmeyer?
Do
we
you?
are at 4.
Oh, right.
Yes. We didn't speak about what we would do when we reach 4 o'clock. I know we lost quite some time in the morning, so I don't mind us proceeding. What do you propose, subject to what Mr. Buthelezi will say and what Ms. Mieni will say?
Chair, from my side, I can say evidence has never gone so quickly. So I'm cautiously optimistic that given that we set aside today, tomorrow and Friday for Ms. Mieni's evidence, I could quite comfortably finish within that period of time.
Yes.
I am available to remain later if it would be convenient to make a bit further advance, but I don't see a risk that I won't complete my questions.
Okay, no, that's fine. Mr. Buthelezi, have you got any particular?
Sorry, Chair, I'd have to run it past Mr. Mabuza and Ms. Mieni herself, given her current state. So I just wouldn't want to commit her without having first landed. So maybe if you give me 5 minutes just to run it past the attorneys to see if they want us to proceed.
But maybe what we can do, because Ms. Hofmeyer says she is confident she will finish within the time that's been allocated, maybe we can stop now for today, and we could add another hour if we thought we are not going to finish within the time allocated. So maybe that would be fine with you as well.
So are we saying that we adjourn now for the day?
That we adjourn now, it's 4 o'clock.
So
that would be fine with you.
That's okay.
Yes. And then tomorrow we can start at 10.
Indeed, Chair.
Yes. Okay, all right. All right. Ms. Mieni?
Chairperson.
We are going to adjourn now for the day, and then we will resume tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Yes. Okay, we'll adjourn for the day, and tomorrow we'll resume at 10 o'clock. We adjourn.